I think we saved a good one for last. I'm going to be speaking with Stefan Desmet. Most all of us know him as Smasher. Live video directing in XR. Let's bring Stefan in. Hello, sir.
Hello, last one. Hope everybody's drunk already in Europe.
You're going to wrap up this party for us, and it looks like you are live back there.
Oh, I am in the studio. Yeah, it's weekends don't count here. We no time off for the wicked. You know? But yeah, thanks for having me. I think it's a very interesting subject in terms of what is XR, what is directing in XR. As I told you before, you know, it's for me because I come from a world directing in live music, live shows, and you know, trying to direct XR all of a sudden is for me, it's basically, it's three things. It's, you want to have that beautiful creative flow, musical flow that you do on these live shows, but you also want to bring in, you know, we're doing these MTV shows, you're going to be dealing with the normal workflow that they have in broadcast. And then on top of that, we kind of, in terms of science itself, you kind of need to, I'm still live, right? Yeah. We kind of need to implement some of the film experiences.
You.
What's that? Sorry.
I'm going to say we're going to give the floor to you and let you dive right in. So,
yeah, here you go. I'm going to dive in with this little, with this little clip here. I'm going to dive in with a small movie that we've made. Here we go. That should go. God. There you go. Yeah, so again, you know, just to rewind a bit, I come from music industry, from music touring industry. You know, you go on tour, you know, and the first thing, you know, you get an assistant director. They call it assistant director, but in theory, you're having a video server operator next to you. And you know, by all means, you know, it's nothing like in broadcast world. You know, you don't really, when you're on tour, you really don't, it's a one-man band, and especially with me, because I was doing the video server on top of that as well on all my U2 tours. I was pretty much being a programmer as well. So yeah, so a director on script. The reason why I put that on there, because you do, I mean, there is some kind of script when you do the Beyoncés, when you do the Madonnas, the choreographers will become your best friends because they will point you out all these moments in the show as well. You know, I've learned that all the hard way, as we all do. You know, some of these things. So yeah, then again, you know, you're on tour, you learn the music, you do 100 shows. Of course, you know, you'll know everything, every single move when you do these Madonnas that's in the show. A technical director, no way, you know, it's always a fight. You know, who do you bring on tour? Like a shader, I was able to start introducing, you know, I come from a long way. I've been 30 years in this industry now, and next year in April. You know, and one by one, you know, you would have a guy that programs visuals. You would have in 2012, for the first time, I took Emily Scaminacci on tour with me because I was so afraid of Madonna. I was shading Madonna, so she had to look right as well. So there was all these new roles into these live shows that I brought into the music touring industry and had to fight for those positions with the production manager, because it's hard sometimes, you know, as a video director. Of course, in TV broadcast, an assistant director, yes, in fact, they are helping the directing the show, counting bars, calling cameras, the usual workflow that we all know. The director usually works on a very tight script. There's this toy that I'm going to start using as well here called QPilot. I saw it for the first time. I don't know how long it's been around, but it's been around for a long time, I guess. But more and more of these big shows start using it. It's a scripting tool that I was quite impressed with, but more on that later. Of course, TD gives the director room, as opposed to, like, you know, you're switching a show in the music world. In the live touring, you're switching the show. You need to look at the shots at the same time. You know, again, it's that one-man band that that you're doing. It doesn't matter how big the show is. You're never going to get a proper AD or a TD that's actually sitting there switching for you, and so you can actually look at the shots and call the shots. You know, and or if something's wrong. You know, and I found when you combine these two things, you know, because, you know, there's directors, really good directors out there that do these live shows, and there's the TV broadcast world. You know, there's you kind of have to combine the two for XR. You know, and XR, you know, I found it's more towards broadcast. You still want to have that musical amazing stuff, you know, people cut on the beats, you know, it's you still want to have that stuff in there, but the creativity, but still you're gonna have to start, if you are coming from that live world, you do have to implement an AT and that entire workflow. No, anyway, XR, you know, one of the big discussion, I talked to Laura about that, what triggered actually this whole thing. You know, we're very fascinated with this XR thing. It shows off the 3D world, these most amazing graphics. I mean, the speed train is going so fast now, how good everything starts to look, either notch or Unreal. It's just absolutely amazing what people are doing out there, these artists, and it just gets better and better. But of course, you know what I'm always saying, you know, and that's I directed Billie Eilish, and it was a bit, you know, there was a bit two camps going on. I found there was a camp where, you know, the XR guys, the Unreal guys were there, and then there was the talent itself. You know, Billie's team was there. Unfortunately, I can't show any footage because of NDA stuff. But anyway, so there was a bit two camps going on there. But because at the end of the day, you know, if you're going to pay a ticket, you're there you want to see the talent. You know, you don't want to always the wide shots or whatever's happening in the scene. You know, you got to make sure there's room for that talent there, for the close-ups. You know, but at the end of the day, that's what counts. It's people want to see that face singing. So that's what I'm saying. In terms of directing, you have to kind of be at the beginning of creation, you know, the storytelling and the whole thing, you know, of course it's cool. All these, you know, that it's fascinating, but still, you know, and you kind of have to speak up about it. You can't be just let that content or the creative side overstep you and like, no, we need to do this. You know, you kind of have to speak up for the talent as well and find that right balance. You know, then again, you know, when you do these previews, you know, you're probably going to sit down and do all these previews at the beginning, you know, make sure the shots are actually possible as well, you know, a 3D, you know, the 3D Maya or 3D Max or Cinema 4D is not always the physical world. So how good you're always gonna be ending up with limitations in how far, you know, you can do your you have to keep that in mind. You know, there's dots that you're not gonna tracking dots that not gonna be there. There's always gonna be something. Just make sure your previs is always. I mean, I'm not telling you here how to do a show. I'm just telling my experiences on what I've been doing, like with the Katy Perry and with the other shows I've been doing here in our room. Also, XR, you know, it's very, the stage itself, as you can see behind me, that's our smaller stage, by the way, is small. It is a small space. You know, you don't need 20 cameras broadcasts, and that's also a bit of a problem that can happen with what I found is like when you do an MTV, they're a bit stuck in their worlds, and I know already, like, some of these cameras are going to be, you know, they're not going to get a light for sure, because they're, you know, they're useless. The precisions is not right. They're, you know, they're not useless cameras, but it's, you know, their precisions are not right, and it's not, you know, just I would say, like the Katy Perry thing I did with 3 cameras. You know, it's already hard enough on its own. To do a shoot like this live, because we're still doing a live video shoot. So yeah, the Billie Eilish thing was done with a movie bird, a 50-footer movie bird, a small techno jib, and 2 pads and a rail cam, and that was more than enough for me, for sure. Plan your day with so, like, you know, also. It's all a bit random, and I'm sorry. I know I'm kind of jumping from one branch to the other here, but so normally a guy like JT Roney, who's an amazing screens producer, you know, I would start my day talking to him, like, or, you know, planning the entire planning, because it's very fragile. You know, start your day, plan your day with the producer, with the screens producer, in terms of what needs to happen in recalibration, color, and as a director, you definitely want to give that time to the guys, you know, to make sure there is definitely in the morning like 3-4 hours of stuff that, you know, because at the end of the day, it's going to be in your advantage on how things going through the day. And then again, yes, touring friends, you need a real AD. It's just what I was saying. This is more from the beginning. And unlike me, a real TD is actually somebody who punches you, so you can actually sit back and watch everything. I prefer always to be in the room as well. And the reason for that is, for my second point here, is because you do need 2 scripts here. There's you know, when you do these big shows, it doesn't matter, you know, if the camera is in the corner there, is in a shot, who cares? You know, if the jib is way up there, you know, in the shot, you know, there's always going to be a camera in a live shoot. There's always going to be a camera in the shot. Unfortunately, with XR, that's not the case. If that camera is in the shot, it'll be in the shot. You know, it'll destroy the look. It'll destroy everything. And it's very heartbreaking. For me, it was. So yes, you do need an AD who's going to count you the bars, who's going to script your shots out. In the morning, you will be blocking your cameras, and that's kind of the workflow. You cannot approach this and I've made the same mistake with the Black Eyed Peas. First time we did this, a real-time shoot. I did not have a TD, or I did not have a AD, and it was hard. It was really, really hard to do. I was very fortunate to be in the room to avoid some of these clashes when a stight cam comes in the shot, like walking into the shot. I'm sure a lot of people are familiar with that. But yeah, so yeah, I'm always in the room, and I always will be. And even in live shows, I was always at front of house as well, because it's kind of feeling that energy. And then in terms of like shooting and being shooting in each other's shot, I always explain if they're new camera guys, because they're shooting, they have no idea. They walk in, you can have the top camera guys in your room, but if you do not explain it to them what a set extension is, you know, what AR is, what XR is, it's going to be hard for them to understand why you're yelling, you know, oh my God, why are you in the shot? Why are you not in the shot? So yeah, And also in terms of scripting, that cue pilot thing, if you are a little bit synchronized, you know, in terms of if there's a choreographer in the room and you know the positions of the artist, you know, that cue pilot can become really, really handy as well. And then in terms of the show itself, you know, make sure, take the artist as well, show them what it is and what the LED does. Put a monitor, not necessarily put a monitor in front of them for the performance. That's probably the worst thing one can do, because they'll be keep looking at themselves and it's like a mirror for them, you know. So make sure the artist understands, not technically, but you know what it is in space, what you're doing, what you're trying to achieve. Why is it that you need choreography? You know, what is an AR element? Why can't they see it, you know, in a whole in front of them? And why is it on the monitor? You know, so all that stuff, all these little details will help me with the workflow and achieving this goal here. Yeah, and then in terms of the audience, of course, you know, with COVID, that was one of the things on Billie that we had. You know, where do we look? Do we look at the guys eating a sandwich in the room, or do we actually look in the tally lights? It's very important, because a lot of some of these artists not really have done like live broadcast shows where it's about them. They've done award shows, but you know, it's very important to point out, this is your tally light, here's your audience, especially now, you know. We had, you know, it's let the cameras have a play with the XR set. I found that really on the last one as well. It's really important that you you just let them explore the room as well through their return. Of course, they have XR in their returns, and you kind of like, just because they will, at the end of the day, they will find you the cool shots. Like, they are cameramen, experienced cameramen, and they will find you very cool shots. So if you let them play a bit with the set itself, I found that really, really productive. You know, even if it's just an hour, you just go through these scenes and here you go, guys. Even the steady cam, whatever, let them have a play with the scenes. And then one of the last things, you know, of course, there's a lot of people in the industry that only have done live music. Again, we are in some kind of broadcast environment, even, you know, where the color, the lighting, it's become a really science, where we're gonna have to plug in the film knowledge, how LUT files and everything, and you know, I've been working on that for the last couple of months now here in the studios, and in terms of colors, and together with Scott Miller, of course, and it's one team. You got to work. There's no director, actually. You know, it's the choreographer, the content creators. You got to be. There can't be any ego in the room. You're working on this together, and it's all new together as well. I don't know how much time I have left, Laura. I see my clock on 0 there. Sorry. Okay. Okay, cool. So yeah, in terms of like, yeah, it's been a very, very interesting, it's still developing, you know, the workflow itself, you know, I'm finding things, oh God, why didn't I think about this? Why didn't I think about that? You know, it's a very cool thing to do. And I'm very grateful to have, to be on board of this XR Studios. And that was pretty much it. I can give to you here.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, Smasher. It's great to see it from your point of view, because I think, you know, a lot of us come at it from either the media server or the content creation, but, you know, understanding how to communicate with camera and with directors is so critical. Like you're saying, all of this collaborating well is you got to put the egos away, and you have to learn how to communicate, because each choice made within all these sub departments impact the rest of the teams like critically, and can break the show if communication is not good.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. That's the point. Like every evening, we do have head of departments coming together. Like on Billy, we spent about a week and a half rehearsing this, blocking camera shots and stuff. And you just come together and just talk about stuff. If there's a problem, if there's a technical problem, if they need more technical time, you got to give it to them. I'm sure it's not because they want to implement another fancy toy in there. It's just because they need that time, and it's all about communication again. And it's really, really good for even for future ahead non-XR stuff, what I've learned in this workflow on communicating as well. Absolutely.
So we have about 5 minutes. If we have any questions from the audience, please post them. Elliot, do you have a comment, question?
Oh, I was just saying that there's been I feel like the positions, the sort of newness, the sort of laying down of the egos and all sort of coming around to the table has been just a recurring theme throughout all of the talks today. Looking at it from a bunch of different angles, but definitely a recurring piece, and being able to get the right the right attitudes and sort of that level of competency almost over what might have been a previous title, so to speak, has also been a recurring piece of today.
Yeah, I believe that. Yeah, it's there'll be new positions, just new positions, and the old positions will refresh. They'll become a bit more important. It's especially like screen producers, because at the end of the day, they'll be running pretty much the show. Together with everybody else, of course, but they've become such an important thing, and when you do the other music shows, that's a bit lesser of a, I would never go, content is there, hit play, and that's it. It doesn't work like this anymore.
So in your role with XR Studios, when XR Studios is a component of a larger either award show or event and not the whole piece, when you're not the only director in the room, and you have a show director or a show multi-camera director that you need to partner with, how do you start the conversation about XR with that director?
I would strongly recommend the director to come down here. If you've never directed an XR show, I would show him like literally what I mean with 2 scripts. Like, you can't be in the shots. Your Steadicam has to be away. Your rail cam has to be offsides. You got to have a clean canvas every time you go to a shot. And also, they would understand, like, you don't need 10 cameras here, like they have on these massive shows. Like, I would definitely invite them and have a look and have a play with the cameras itself, because it's sometimes so hard to understand, like, if there's an AR object that's not there physically there, how do you shoot around that? How do you play with that? Yeah, 100%.
That's a really interesting point. It's something I hadn't considered myself. Here we are trying to build the user base and producer knowledge about what this is, but there's also a place where we need to get directors to spend time with the gear and learn the language and the players involved in doing it well.
Absolutely, and the choreographers as well. Everybody should like come and have a play and understand these camera positions and XR. What is it? What? And the lighting and why are we using LED? Why don't we do that in green screen? We make these minuscule lighting looks, and for the content creators, it's hard to just do it over a camera or over Zoom or whatever. You need to have the tool. You need to be able to have a play with it and have a look and like, oh my God, yeah, you're absolutely right. It's hard to you know, when people from broadcast these massive shows that they've done for years and years and years, and the workflow has been the same and everything has been the same, to let them come in here and like, okay, this is different. We actually need to give you more time. You know, it's this work. This is all, you know, it could be a bit of clashing there, you know, because they're so used of their, you know, so many people coming in, and now under COVID, which makes it even worse, you know, harder. Yeah, I would say strongly my recommendation is just come and have a play, come and have a look, come and look at the toys, come and play with cameras.
And what are the open studio hours at XR Studios for everybody to come down and use all the gear? And
not sure if JT is on the. No, but it's more good question. No, but it's more if there's a show, you can't. What I'm trying to avoid is that people walk in here on the day of the shoot, like directors and stuff. That's what I'm saying. You know, if there's a show confirmed, for me, I even did that in non-XR environments. You know, it's really important that you understand the room and do a recce. But there's so much involved with it that you understand. Yeah, that just show up and call JT.
Call JT. I'm going to sneak in one attendee question before we wrap your session from Tunji. He wants to ask about Katy's performance at Alibaba. She had minimal movements. Were there any constraints for this, or can you describe that environment?
It was actually shot from her smaller stage. She was on that carousel, so we had to like, okay, there was horses in front of her and horses behind her. You know, if she would step one step in front of her, and then the horses disappeared. You know, it was like they flew through the room. But yeah, it was AR in front of her, and two, she was on a carousel floating through space, so there wasn't much jumping around, and or she just fell off. No, that's the main reason. It was mainly AR, I would say.
Great.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Smasher. It's great to have you participate today. Love having you here.
Yeah, it was amazing concept. This whole frame stuff is you know, you hear it from all corners of the world and all corners from the industry. So thank you for having me.
Thank you, sir.
We'll talk to you again.
Thank you. Bye.
Enjoy your Saturday.
All right.